Yay, the kids are finally asleep.
So do you feel like...
Playing a game?
I've got a feeling a boss fight's coming up.
Ooh, I just got wrecked.
Headshot, baby.
Ooh, it's your turn to get the baby.
So are you up to the challenge?
Run, 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 run.
And we're dead.
That's when I realized I have no idea what I'm doing.
GG. Welcome back to the KJ After Dark Gamer Parents podcast. I'm Kevin. I'm joined by my co-host and wife, Joanne. If this is your first time listening, we are a married couple. We have 2 kids. We are gamers ourselves. So parents, gamers, and we talk about all that kind of stuff as well as just life in general. And speaking of life, a little bit crazy right now and with all eyes on Ukraine. And I'm sure everyone in the world kind of knows about what's going on over there. And I would say that our hearts definitely go out to anyone in Ukraine right now.
Yeah, I know. It's so crazy how this is happening in this century and in this age where I thought this war stuff would only be like, something that we read about and learn in our history classes. I never in a million years expect that this would happen again right now, so especially like during the COVID season too. I mean, it was a couple of years of crazy COVID stuff, and then we thought things would kind of simmer down, and life getting back to normal, but not for some countries apparently. So I'm just like surprised and shocked, I guess.
It's crazy to see a full-on, country invasion, in today's days, and it's just so unheard of, and it's wild. It's
heartbreaking, really. Like, I have friends there, people I know, a few friends of mine, and they are
just
definitely...
to clarify, where?
There as in Russia. But they're pro-peace, they're against this, but they are also impacted by it because, they have relatives and friends in Ukraine as well, because it's just like next door. So it's just saddening, definitely. Keeping them in our prayer and hoping that peace comes back ASAP.
Absolutely, for sure. And secondary to all of this, now, Joanne, obviously you know this, but I'm sure not everyone who listening does, but I also work in the oil and gas industry, and just seeing how the world politics and everything really affect the global fuel markets. And, I'm sure if you're, so at least especially here in the U.S., if you're filling up at the pump, I'm sure you've noticed, especially by the time this episode comes out, how much gas prices have gone up and diesel prices going up, and how all the Russia-Ukraine conflict and government sanctions and all that really affect all of that, and really plays into what I have to do for work. That's just kept me extremely busy. Work's just been really crazy.
Yeah, I agree. It's all tied together,
Yeah, so that's kind of been this last week, kind of barely finding time to put together a podcast episode. Obviously still finding a little bit of time to game this last week too. What this podcast is all about. So we'll kind of get into exactly more about that in a little bit later. But for now, Joanne, what do you got for us?
Let's lighten the mood some, folks. We're back to the card game, Our Moments, Couples Edition. And we're gonna answer one question from the card before we jump into the game of the week, because it is a way for us to build the bond and to let you guys know us better. So this question from this card today: if social media didn't exist, how would your life be different?
So should I jump on that one first?
Sure, go ahead.
All right, so my experience is very light. I've had a Facebook for a long time, but besides that, I guess LinkedIn I have had for a while, just from the career aspect and a business professional and all of that. But really, besides that and Facebook, I don't really get into social media much.
That's true.
I don't have an Instagram or a Twitter or what else is there? TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
I did have a MySpace back in the day when that was a thing.
That was so long ago.
Which I have not been to MySpace in at least a decade
years.
Or two.
Yeah, 10 years. I was going to say, a decade. Same.
Yeah, but I remember everyone was into that. It was before Facebook and everything. But Yeah, so for me, and I don't really use social media that much. I mean, I have an account mostly so that my family members can tag me on stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and then, obviously Joanne will tag me on stuff and I have to go in and like everything,
Oh yeah.
just otherwise she'll think I don't actually like it.
Yeah.
You got to hit the button, make sure you do that. So
Yeah, because liking it in real life, like saying I like it in real life, is different from liking it on Facebook. So I don't know. You couples out there, you let me know if this is a thing, if your significant other gets mad at you for not liking their stuff on Facebook, liking your stuff on
yeah, I'm
Facebook.
just curious how that works for other people, because I'm not like a huge Facebook user, but like if I get tagged on stuff, especially with Joanne, like I'll go in, I'll look at the stuff, and I'll close it. I'll move on to the next thing or whatever, and then don't necessarily think twice about liking or doing emotes or commenting and all this kind of crazy stuff. Was it's not really that crazy. I guess it's probably normal for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then she'll be like, "Oh, did you see this post?" And I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I did. I loved this picture. This one was really good. This was my favorite." And she'd be like, "Well, did you like it?" And I said, "Yeah." It said, "I really liked this one. This was my favorite." I thought that was pretty clear. But she's like, "Well, no, did you hit the like button on the post?" And I'll be like, "Well, I think I may have forgotten." So like that just becomes like a bigger deal, So it's kind of funny about that.
Yeah, it's just weird. I know. It's just my kind of thing.
I think you just think about social media differently than me.
Exactly.
And to me, it's like not really important. It's about like the pictures and videos and stuff, and less about the other little stuff, which I think you just have a different approach to or thought of. So, but yeah, go ahead and get into that.
But it's so funny how like you knew how much it means to me, and then nowadays you don't even question me anymore. You'll be like just going in and liking it or loving it, And thank you. I appreciate that. But for me, if social media didn't exist, how would your life be different? Well, for starters, we wouldn't have that argument about you liking it or loving it.
Because I would just say I liked it, and then that would be all I could do.
I know. It probably wouldn't take so much of my time because Instagram is so addictive. Like I have to delete it off my phone if I need a break from it. I can't just like stop checking it out.
I think sometimes you do it like even by habit, right? Like
Yeah,
I know there's
it's a
times like you
habit.
try to give it up, and then you'll like open it and then be like, "Oh shoot, I'm not supposed to."
Exactly.
And then you have to,
Like how easy for me to go onto my Instagram is like how natural it is for you to go onto your Hearthstone on your mobile.
yeah, or even just checking like work email. Like if I have a spare 2 minutes, if I'm just on my phone, let me check what's going on.
Yeah.
Just like habitual.
Yep. I'm really big on Facebook, Instagram, and what was it? What was the other thing? TikTok. I used to be like heavy on TikTok, but now I've deleted TikTok so that I could spend more time in reality and also like just being in the present, being present with my family. And that's what we gamer parents need to do. Like we already spend time gaming at night, so during the day we have to be like as present as we can with the family apart from working and stuff. So that's juggling the life part that we spoke about this podcast, right, Kev?
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed if there's especially a lot of things, especially on our mobile devices nowadays, that you just have like so many different apps and social media and games, and there's so many reasons to be on your phone, and so we kind of have to put an effort into not being on our phones all the time. But I think social media kind of plays a part in all that kind of as a problem. But
yeah, and speaking of social media, if you do have Instagram, definitely give us a follow and some likes on at KJ_after_dark on Instagram.
yeah, so regardless of what we were saying about social media, you should definitely get on social media and do exactly what Joanne just said and follow us on the Instagram and YouTube. We're on YouTube as well, KJ After Dark. Where else are we? Is that pretty much it?
Yeah, I mean, I think we do have a Facebook account, but I haven't really updated that part. So
There's probably nothing there. Don't check out the
Don't
Facebook.
check out Facebook. Just YouTube and Instagram is enough to put a smile on our faces.
Perfect. So this is episode number 7, which means this will be our 6th game review. And we put quite a bit of time in this last week into this game in particular, and we both liked it. The game of the week for us was Lost Ark. It's fairly new. It's probably the only game we reviewed that was newly released. at least in the last month or so. And Joanne, I know you particularly like this one. So I'll go ahead and let you talk about it this time. What do you got for everybody?
Okay, well, Lost Ark, where do I even start? I'm going to compare it a lot with WoW. So, so it starts with the character creation. And for here, you have like 5 different classes to pick from. There's warrior, there's martial artist, there's gunners, mage, and also assassins. And they have like advanced classes within those classes that you could pick from. And my character is a mage bard, and I use my harp to fight the enemies because I play music, and then the enemies kind of like get struck by my musical notes, and it's so cool. The effects are so cool. Anyways, I'll talk more about the characters later. And Kevin, what was your character again?
So I chose the gunner, and subset for the gunner, the artillerist. So my guy runs around with a giant, it seems to be kind of like everything. Like it shoots rockets, it shoots bullets, has a flamethrower, like all kinds of like crazy missiles and stuff like that. I think I'm supposedly like a little slower than most people as far as like how quick you can move around or running speed, but a lot of firepower from this guy, and a lot of explosions, and just like it was just like an action-packed class, it seems like. So that's like a lot of fun. I don't really get a lot of RPGs with classes exactly like this one, so it's kind of one of the reasons I chose it. And so far I'm liking my selection. There's a couple other ones like martial artist type ones that I wanted to try too, so maybe I'll give a different class a shot later on down the road, but definitely really happy with what I chose in this game for now. I also wanted to say before we get into this too much is that if you are interested in checking out Lost Ark, it is completely free to play, at least right now. I don't know if that's ever going to change in the future. If you have Steam, you can download it there for free. If you don't have Steam, Steam is free, so go download Steam and then get Lost Ark, and you can play it 100% free.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin, for the information about getting the game on Steam. Definitely check it out. If you're into World of Warcraft or any MMORPG game, it's like this is one of those cool ones. So for the character creation, though, the only difference between this and WoW is that the classes are gender locked. So you can't really pick what gender you want for some of it. I don't know why it's like that, but yeah, that's one of the difference. And the game itself is really cool. It has a cool storyline about the ark being missing, and then you have to find pieces of it, and I don't know, it just keeps giving you quests to get there. And then there's a protagonist and an antagonist, and it's really cool how the colors are kind of similar to Alliance and Horde, but that's how a lot of games are, I guess. The typical blue and gold and red and black. And then there's dungeons, there's colossal world bosses to fight against, and hordes of enemies. Very similar in that sense. The graphics and everything, it's really
Graphics are
detailed.
pretty good.
They're very pretty.
They're definitely of this age. They don't look or feel old at all.
Kind of reminds me of Final Fantasy, don't you think? Like the characters and stuff.
That's not cartoony or anything like that. So I mean, if you haven't seen it, if you have, you probably know exactly what we're talking about already. But yeah, I know you said you were kind of comparing this to WoW, and I think myself kind of doing that a bit as well, just because WoW is kind of that other RPG that we have spent a decent amount of time in, and I'm sure a lot of other people have. I think kind of the major differences that I noticed that Lost Ark feels a lot more linear. It's not really open world.
Yeah, kind of like
you
Diablo.
Have to go like
you say, right?
Zones 1, 2, 3, 4. You can't really just skip around or go any direction you want. You kind of have to go in particular order, and you can't really branch off too far. If you do, you kind of just run into dead ends, going different directions. But yeah, that's and also I did notice they seem to be pretty meticulous about how they designed the quest order and all of that. Like they usually don't send you backwards or back to a place that you've already been, unless it's like a major town or something like that. But they're usually good about keeping you moving in one direction with the quests. You don't usually go back and talk to the exact same person over and over again. It's kind of always progressing you forward into further down in the same area or into the next area. So it feels like they really put a lot of thought into that. Whereas I think when World of Warcraft first came out in vanilla WoW, that I think that was one of the things that they were known for not being very good at, of making people travel really long ways for quests and usually just go a long ways to turn something in and then go all the way back, and just felt like a lot of people's time was wasted. But that's not really, doesn't really seem to be the case here. Like, it's really quick to run quests. They're really short, easy objectives. I feel like you don't even really have to like read it all that closely. Just go to the area and kill something and you finish the quest. So it's very simple questing, and I feel like you can play it solo if you wanted, or you could play it with someone else or other people
in a group
as well. So
that part is quite similar to WoW. And apart from the regular quests, the character building and the graphics, another thing that's fun about it is that it has a lot of like achievements to get, just like WoW, but more like it goes per zone, right? Which continent you're in, or which
which I like that too, because like you feel, if this really satisfies the completionist in you. And they like separate it by zone, so like you don't have to collect 100 of something in every zone, or like I'm trying to say here, but so like instead of collecting 1,000 of something, if you collect 100 of them 10 times, like you get the achievement basically for like 100 in every zone or something like that. So it kind of breaks it down into like smaller chunks where you kind of still feel like you got everything in the first few zones. Maybe you're still working on the later ones, but definitely has a satisfaction factor in it.
Yeah, definitely. And there's also like other side stuff like collectibles, which is building rapport with certain characters. It's kind of like what do you call it?
Like reputation.
Yeah, reputation in WoW, building reputation. But in WoW, it's more like with the army or with a group of people, and this is more like with a single person, and you have to kind of win the heart of that
they just
character.
Like basically that person, they give you stuff as soon as they like you more, and you play certain songs for them as you learn new songs, because apparently like their instrument is kind of a big part of each class.
Yes,
not just the bard. It really sounds like a bard thing, but pretty much every class has this. Or you give them certain items and you gain reputation with them, or you do certain emotes, because like you learn emotes as you go through the game, and I guess each people you do different emotes towards and gain like reputation or rapport with them. So kind of one other thing you can do in the game.
And the bard, why I said it's like more musical, is only like when you strum your harp and then you can see like waves of musical notes coming out of your harp. That's what I meant by like musical with the bard. But
or if you're like me and you want like instead of musical notes, if you want to kill people with rockets and flamethrowers and machine guns and stuff like that, they have that for you too. So either way.
So, but I think there's an expansion coming soon, right? Isn't there?
I know there was a patch or an update that they just had, which I think unlocked some more end-game content. I think they made a few things easier for current end-game content. Kind of normal for big MMOs of this scale to kind of do updates like that. I know this game is new in the US on Western servers, but it's been out, I think, in Korea and Russia and maybe a couple other places for quite a while.
Since 2019,
I actually have a friend of ours who's been playing it for maybe a good year or so. And in those other regions, they have other classes that they have released beyond the, I think, 4 we have?
5. We have 5 main classes and 15 advanced classes supposedly.
Yeah, so they're going to be releasing even more, which is pretty cool because, I mean, at least the RPGs we're used to don't release like new classes all that often. Pretty rare. So if they have quite a few that are already developed just in different regions and they're bringing them over here, that's a lot of cool stuff to look forward to.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like nice viewpoints in there, like the cinematics are awesome, and then the screenshots, if you want to take screenshots of villages and stuff like that, it's really like the pictures don't even do them justice. I mean, I tried and I'm just blown away by how pretty it is. I mean, it's like graphics from Final Fantasy, gameplay are like wow, running around and not open world so much like Diablo. There's like a mixture of everything in this one game, which is why I am really putting my heart into it.
Yeah, we decided to try this game off a recommendation of Strife
from
in
Discord. Please check it out.
And I kind of what I knew about this game, I didn't really think I was going to like it, just because I wasn't really looking for a game that is as deep and time consuming and long to complete like this. I'm kind of been more drawn towards the quicker games we can jump in and out of week by week and still have a really good time with. And I think I'm trying to find reasons not to like this game, but that's getting harder and harder to do. I think it's one that as we move on to games of the week next week and going forward, you can definitely see us coming back and continuing to keep play this one when we do have a little bit of extra time.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, like, this game, they also have this card collection or card catalog in it, which you don't use the card to duel or anything, not that I know of.
Or just like collectibles. So like a lot of the characters in the game have their own cards, and you just collect them, and
you can't even play with
sets. them. And you don't even really get to do. I don't know why they're cards at all, or like I don't know. So basically, you collect them, and if you collect an entire set, and you get like bonuses if you like equip those cards. You don't really equip them, but you like make a deck out of them, and you get the bonuses if you have enough of same category of cards. So I don't know, not really a huge part of the game. It'd be kind of cool if you could play with them too. That'd be cool. Like if they had like something like Gwent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Witcher had.
I know. Or like Hearthstone. Yeah. But maybe they have that plan. You never know. Maybe they started out with this and then they're just like kind of wanting to surprise us in the future. You never know. All right.
So should we go ahead and get into our category ratings?
Yes.
All right. So category number 1, as always, is convenience. Joanne, what did you think about the convenience for this one?
I think it's pretty convenient. I would give it probably a 10 actually. Because
10 on convenience. I gotta ask why.
Yeah, you gotta ask why. Yeah, because first, I think it's so easy to teleport from one place to another, and you don't have to get to a certain flight path like you have to in a while, to fly to one place. And then another thing why I like it is that you can just teleport to a safe zone and be AFK if you need to handle your babies and stuff like that. As a gamer parent, that's a very huge point for convenience because kids cry when you're gaming and it's no penalty to me. I think if you die halfway in a dungeon, you resurrect like right away. You don't even have to run all the way back in and stuff like that. So I think this game is pretty convenient, and even if you did die somewhere that you're not in the safe zone, you don't lose much. It's not like you drop a whole bunch of Stygia or something like in Shadowlands. But that is my opinion. Well, I guess I gave it a 10, so there's no buts, huh?
Yeah, if you gave it a 10, then I'm expecting 0 negatives.
Okay, 0 negatives.
Category of convenience. I have a few. And just to kind of re-explain, I don't know if it's been a while, but on the category of convenience, what we're talking about is as a gamer parent, we have other responsibilities that kind of infringe on, any gaming time and all that. Like maybe our time is limited, so with something that we can kind of hop in and out of pretty quickly, something that's not penalizing if we need to step away. Or we can kind of get to a point where we can step away rather quickly. So I guess a few notes on that for the convenience for Lost Ark. I'm giving it a 7. So, better than average is kind of what I'm thinking. Notice most of the areas, like the enemies, they always spawn in the same spot, and they don't really wander around very much. Like very little, actually. So like you can just find a corner of the map like where there's no enemies and just go AFK there if you need to, and you're most likely going to be just fine. I think we're like level 30-ish, maybe just shy of 30, and we haven't like noticed any like PvP yet, so you don't really have to worry about somebody coming up and killing you while you're AFK, or like as far as another player. So all that stuff is good, and even just beyond that, there's a lot of like towns and outposts pretty regularly, or like quest areas where there's like friendly NPCs. So let's run to one of those. If you need to step away or quit the game really quickly. Like Joanne said, you can also like teleport somewhere safe, although that kind of like a Hearthstone type thing, it takes a while to to do that, and you can't take any damage. So you kind of have to be in a safe place already to even do that. A negative for the convenience, though, at least through Steam, and I don't know if that's the only way you can launch the game, but it takes forever to launch the game. I don't think I've ever had a game take this long to start up. There may be some other ones out there that are worse, but I mean, it takes a good, I don't know, 4 minutes, 5 minutes of like just a loading icon, it seems like. And we have pretty good computers, so I don't think that's the issue. It just takes way longer to launch the game than any other game that I've played. So that's kind of why I ended up with a 7.
Wow, that's hard, but I see your point. What's the next category?
Next category is communication, kind of focused on, you're playing it with your significant other. Does it kind of drive good communication and, for the reason of bonding and all of that between each other? What do you think about communication?
I would give it a 7. I mean, we don't really communicate during the game, so it should be low, but with the, amount of how much there is to do in the game, like collecting achievements and leveling up and doing dungeons, it is definitely a plus for after the game or in between game talks where you and your significant other can share thoughts about it or about your gear, about your fighting ways and stuff like that. That's what I enjoy talking to Kevin about when we're not playing the game. It's just like so much to discuss after. And that's why I said it's a good game for communication. Not so much during the game, but mostly after the game. Well, actually, if you're doing dungeons, you might want to communicate more. I can foresee when we get into a higher level, like level 50 and doing end game raids and stuff, we would definitely need to be on Discord, chat more. But yeah, what are your thoughts? Mine's a 7. What about you?
Yeah, I see this being a game where the communication requirement changes as you progress, probably increasing more. Right now, I'm giving it a 5, which is kind of smack dab in the middle. Mostly because I feel like at this point, I mean, the game is extremely easy so far. Most things die really quickly. Like, you don't have to communicate with anybody to progress. It's easy to play solo, through the quests and everything we have so far. Even most of the dungeons you can do solo, which is pretty strange compared to most RPGs. So, I mean, maybe as things get more difficult and you rely more on other players, that definitely drives a lot of the communication. Then again, there is so much you can do in the game. Like, for example, we go hunting for Makoko seeds all the time. And,
I love Makoko seeds. So cute.
Those are cool. Yeah. It definitely, especially the sound effect whenever you pick one up. I don't even remember what it is, but I remember it just drives happiness. Yeah. Every time you get a Makoko seed, there's over 1,000 of them in the game. It's one of the things you try to collect, and they're in almost every single area. So usually, if we find one, we're always communicating on that, calling them out, making sure the other person doesn't miss anything. But as far as communication, that's kind of it. I think with the 5, I'm kind of giving it benefit of the doubt that it's going to be better kind of towards the end of the game. I would be really surprised if I'm wrong about that. So being a little bit gracious there, I guess, on communication. The next category is story. Ooh. And I know story is important to you. Yes. What did you think about the story?
I like the story. Like every bit of it right now where we're fighting that demon and trying to help restore the arc and stuff like that. So I would give the story a 10. The cinematics are amazing and, I just love how they put so much detail into stuff like that. Even the side quests and collectibles have little stories of their own where you have to treasure hunt for letters and stuff like that. The hidden letters.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are cool to find out about a bit more about each character in the game itself. Some are dead and some are love stories. So I would give it a 10. I might be biased, but.
Yeah, I'm. When it comes to story, I think story is usually a little bit less important to me, unless if it's a really good story and I can really latch onto. I really like it. A lot of Final Fantasy games get that way with me. But for RPGs like this one, I have a bad habit of just skipping through everything, and I'll watch most cinematics. But I feel like nowadays it's like I don't have time to read through paragraph after paragraph of quest, and why this lady needs whatever fruit for something she's trying to cook that I'm supposedly going to try and collect to finish off this quest. Me, that kind of stuff doesn't really matter. So like, I tend to skip through a lot of stuff, like even the primary quests that I probably shouldn't do. But I mean, they do have a lot of cinematics. Like most of the dungeons have like a cutscene type of thing that they throw in there. So I like watching those. I like getting my story in that way. And so far, those are pretty good. And I feel like the characters will kind of just talk like during or after I'm zooming through the written dialogue, but they'll kind of say like the important stuff. So I feel like I'm still getting story that way without having to waste a bunch of time reading a lot, because I'm not really a big reader. So with that stuff in mind, I gave the story an 8.
Okay,
So not quite the 10 that you did, but I think 8's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping they kind of keep up with it. I feel like, there's a few characters that we've kind of quested with repeatedly that we're starting to learn more about and kind of see them advance and grow. And, well, without spoiling anything, the main villain kind of keeps showing up over and over again. I'm sure there's going to be different villains going forward, but really excited to see how the story progresses.
Yep. Me too. What's next?
Next category is repeatability.
Oh, well, obviously you see how often I've been playing it. Like, even when the days are rough and the nights seem like I need a break, and this is my break. So it is my therapy. When I played WoW, I thought no other game would make me be immersed into it as much as WoW. And this game did it. So I would definitely give it a 10 on repeatability.
Yeah, that's I think repeatability is definitely high here. I don't know how we can cram even a sliver of the content of this game in just a week. Like I said, we got to about like level 30 or so in the last few days, which I think already is pretty good. And not to mention all the collectible stuff we've been talking about, like the Makoko seeds. Like there's so much you can do. It's kind of similar to WoW, I'm thinking about that way, where every time you log in, it's like, well, what do I want to do this time? There's like a long list of things you could get into and do, and whether that's achievements or just leveling your character or all this kind of stuff. Not to mention, you can make an alt and play different classes and have a completely different experience going through the same story and same quests, but completely different set of skills. Everything like that, just to keep the game interesting. So I am also giving repeatability a 10. Perfect score from both of us. That's the first time we both gave the same game a 10 in the same category. So last category we have is the fun factor. Joanne, what do you think about fun for this game? And I would say I think fun is probably the most important out of everything, because if you ain't having fun, don't play it.
True. I give it a 10. Definitely a 10, because I'm having a blast playing it. I don't even see it being a game of the week. It may be the game of the year. Ooh.
Maybe the game of the year. Maybe we play a little bit every week for the entire year.
Yeah, because we still have to explore other game of the week. So this would be like something we go to when we have time in between.
maybe next week is Lost Ark Part 2. Then Lost Ark Part 3, and this becomes a Lost Ark podcast. I don't know what's going to happen. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. So,
what you?
A 10 from you for fun. I don't think you have to explain it very much, given like every. Okay, let's see. It's pretty much every category you've given a 10 except for communication. So this is almost a perfect game to you. So I'm not surprised with the 10 on fun. Although this is a fun game, I cannot deny that. I don't think we've given it enough time to really let it develop and kind of see what end game content is like, see how the story develops. Experience other classes, playing with other players, player versus player. So there's so much we haven't done yet, which I want to at least test the waters for. So I'm not convinced yet that it is the perfect game in terms of fun, although it is very fun for me, and I've played a lot of games, so it says a lot. But I give it a 9 in fun. I can't give it a perfect score for fun, but I can give it a 9.
Okay. So what's our total? I think mine is 47.
Yes, your total came out to be a 47 out of 50, which, like I said, almost a perfect score. I'd be really surprised if you go higher, like on any other game. I don't know. Maybe every game to you is a lot of fun. But
Well, we never rated WoW. I mean, WoW would probably be like higher because WoW, you really need that communication when you are raiding and stuff, you know?
that's true. I mean, WoW is probably my most played game of all time.
Yep.
As far as number of hours and days put into it, sweat, blood, and tears that I poured into that game. So I probably have to give it really high ratings and probably everything except for convenience. But we're not rating WoW here, we're rating Lost Ark, but pretty similar in terms of overall feel of the game.
Yeah.
My total did come out to be a 39, so I was a little bit lower than you in most categories. Definitely lost a lot more points that way. But 39 is still a pretty solid score, at least compared to a lot of other games that we've been rating so far. I think that's the highest rating that I've given, but still a 47. Wow, that's crazy. We'll see if we ever get up that high for you for any other game.
I know. If only we had this podcast while we were playing WoW and Witcher, that might actually be pretty close to this for me.
Maybe you'll like Final Fantasy 14 or something like that. I could see you really liking a game like that.
Yep.
Anyways, that's our rating for Lost Ark. We did have a stream for the game on Tuesday, and that video is on YouTube. So if you want to check out us actually playing it, I think we got some fun, interesting stuff in there. I don't remember if we had the Salt Giant fight in there or not. I don't think so. I think that was right after we stopped recording. But right after we stopped recording, we had like a 20-minute fight with a region boss. It was kind of like a world boss.
Actually, it was in there. The Salt Giant was in there.
Was it in there? I could have sworn we
The
stopped.
dungeon wasn't in there.
Yeah, and then we did a dungeon after that, which was really cool. So I feel like we didn't capture the coolest stuff of the night. It was kind of all the more mild, tame stuff, which is still cool. You still get to see a lot of the animation and maybe some cut scenes, just doing some questing. Just killing some random stuff. So I guess really entry level, opening up to the game a little bit. So
we should totally stream it again when we
we might
reach
stream
level
maybe-
50 or something.
maybe we do another recap stream or something else, or maybe even another day other than a Tuesday. But that said, every Tuesday you can check us out on YouTube at 9:30 Central, AJ After Dark channel. So we should be streaming again this upcoming Tuesday. Should be a day or two after this episode comes out. So it'll be next game of the week that we will be streaming. Don't know what that is going to be yet.
I
Joanne and I got to talk and figure that out. But anyways, it's always a lot of fun. So come talk with us, hang out with us.
Yeah.
Be sure to check out the YouTube channel. Check out the last stream.
And we'll catch you soon.